It's time for a brand new adventure, not the type that Thomas Heaton has just been on to Mongolia. Instead, it's a chance for me to turn all my focus towards the camera. I've got a week's annual leave from the 9-to-5 job, so I can turn all my focus to the photography. Over the next 4 to 5 weeks, there are some amazing spots that I really can't wait to share with you and head out to. Sandstone rocks, rolling hills, forests, waterfalls. Really am going to be trying to shoot something a little bit different for the most part, heading out to locations I've never been to, locations I've never even heard of until I started doing some research into these trips out. I'm just hoping, I've got my fingers crossed, because I want to get out as much as I possibly can. I'm going to be praying that the weather forecast is on my side, because if it rains, then it's going to be very difficult for me to get out and about. I stay home enough of the time for my 9-to-5 job. For this week off, I want to be able to get out. I want to go and explore new locations, get out with the camera, find new compositions. And like I say, there are some amazing locations coming up. I don't say this very often, but make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me a like, give me a comment, because it really does help this channel, and I don't want you missing out on any of the videos that will be coming up across the next month. This is day one. I've come along the river to a little place called Lower Halstow. If I bring the camera around, you can see it off in the distance. And this adventure, this trip, it's all about shooting something new. It's all about shooting something I don't normally capture, which is a bit ironic really, because as you can see, the first subjects we're probably going to be shooting today is boats. And you know how much I love shooting those. They've got an elegance to them, they've got a beauty, they've got a simplicity to them. And of course I want this trip to be about shooting new things, so I'm off to a great start there, aren't I? But Lower Halstow, it's one of those places I've always wanted to go along to. It's right on my doorstep almost, just about 10-15 minutes drive from where I live. So there's no excuse as to why I've not been here before. So I thought this would be a great place to start this amazing adventure. So for this first scene, as you can see, I'm not bothering with the tripod, I'm just going to shoot handheld, because I've come across these 3 boats. And when I was looking at this location on Google Satellite Images, it was these boats here at this low tide that kind of caught my eye more than anything. Now the reason I'm not using a tripod is I'm really not sure how the scene is going to work as a whole, how the composition is going to work. So I think it's going to be easier just to walk around shooting handheld and just shooting whatever I see, whatever kind of catches my eye, and then back home it'll be a case of, okay, it's that one I like, it's that one I dislike. The reason for this is, of course, we've got this lovely foreground boat, and this is going to be the main boat. If I have to focus on just one of them, it's going to be this one. We've got this second one over here, and you can see the problem for me, or the problem in my head that I'm thinking, is we've got this stake that it's tied to, and the stake is unfortunately in front of the boat. And I'd prefer it if it was the other way round, or like what we see with this boat here, where the stake is kind of in front of it rather than kind of to the side and getting in the way. And then we've got this third one in the background. Now I could take a shot, what I really like is one dotted after the other. Nice and simple, not too much of a problem. But then we've got the background to think about. We've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 boats in the background, all abandoned, all stuck in the low tide at the moment. And whatever I try and capture, they're going to be in it, which is why I'm thinking that this foreground boat could be the main one to turn my focus to, turn my attention to, so to speak, and kind of shoot it in this kind of direction. Of course, I could also shoot in that direction, not discounting that direction. We've got another little boat just kind of getting tied to the stake. We've got two kind of bigger ships left moored, and then we've got the village in the background. Not the type of thing that I'd normally go for, but I will make sure I grab a shot, because even though I might not like it at the moment, I might get home and I might feel very, very differently about it. So I think this is a case of shooting whatever I come across, and I'll share whatever I like. Hopefully there'll be something that I like. Hopefully I won't turn around and admit there won't be a scene where I go, oh, I don't like it, there's nothing I liked. Keep going. That won't be the case, I can guarantee that now. I'm going to be really curious to see how those last images turn out that I've just talked you through. I'm one of these people, I don't know if you're the same, but I always find that an image, when I take it out and I view it out on the camera, can look very different when I'm back home and I'm viewing it in a Lightroom. And my opinion can very much change from when I was out on the field to when I am back home. And I think it's for that reason that I always try and avoid looking at any of my images for about 24 hours. So I won't look at any of what I shoot today until tomorrow at the earliest, just so I go in with a little bit of a fresh mind, so to speak. I don't want to kind of be really positive and go, oh, that was a great trip out, and kind of influence really my decision on what I actually think of my images. Now, I had been hoping to get a couple of long exposures this morning, but the tide wasn't quite as high as what I wanted it to, and I kind of left doing any filming, doing any shooting until the tide had disappeared, making it easier for me to get to some of the boats. But as well, I think it would have been challenging as well, because of course long exposures, you want to get that nice milky smooth water. But in the same vein, it's a difficult one, because whilst you're trying to get the milky smooth water whilst the shutter is operating, there's still motion because the boat's gently bobbing on the water. So of course, had I taken the first shot for the long exposure and then I'd have had to have taken a second shot to make sure I got the sharpness in the boat and blended them together. It's why when you kind of come out and you take images, you need to think about the bigger picture. And excuse the pun, I come out with some terrible puns at times, really, don't I? But if you don't capture the sharpness in the boat, all you're going to be left with is a blurry image from the long exposure, and that has happened to me far too often. So for this final shot today, I've walked around the bay, if you can call it that. I've come to where the marina is, where the main boats are congregated. I'm just sitting down here on the banks of the river. You unfortunately can't see anything because of how I've got to have the camera set up to talk to you fine people right now. But right behind you, you've got this rickety old pier. I wouldn't want to walk too far on it because it doesn't look the most stable of structures, to be honest. But it's a lovely setting out here this morning. Like I say, I've never been out here this morning, didn't know what to expect. Got some nice light, got some nice drama and atmosphere with the clouds, some nice soft cloud, even though we're losing the blue sky almost. But let me get the live view up on screen so you can see the composition that I'm going to talk you through right now. Of course, we've got the wooden jetty, as I mentioned, and then over on the right, we've just got a boat abandoned, trapped as the tide's gone out it's not moving very far until the tide comes back in later today. Let me tell you that. I'm debating whether this shot will look better in portrait mode or landscape mode. It's one of those where I'm really not sure what will work better, in all honesty. I love how the pier the jetty appears. That's not an intended pun, but I love how the pier just appears over on the right hand side, and it kind of just leads you into the scene from front to the back. And we've got a little bit of a hillock just down here in the foreground, which I think just helps improve the foreground a little bit. Now, if I was to rotate it into landscape mode, I think I lose that little hillock. Of course, I get more detail to the left and to the right. So I'm really not sure what is going to work better here. I think it really is going to be a classic case of shoot one in portrait mode, shoot one in landscape mode. I'll put both up on screen and you can let me know which one you prefer. And that is the start of the adventure underway. But this was just the prologue, the opening act. There is so much more to come across the coming month. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the amazing trips out that will be coming up in the near future. But for now, I'm off home. I am done.